Ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year and welcome to our very first episode of the Fuente and Meerapfel Meet the Professor of 2023. Hello, world.
All right. Hello, world. But I got to ask, how many times have you said 2023 today, or you've absolutely said 2022? It takes. You're such a perfectionist. Hey, I got a scarf. Look, scarfing it up like you are.
Look at that. You're looking good. Jose, good day to you, sir.
Good evening to you and to the rest of the world, and Happy New Year to everybody. We all hope that 2023 will be a good year, not only for the industry, but more than anything else, for the world, for peace, for people to understand that we have to get along better. Let's have a drink. Let's smoke some cigars. Let there be peace. Let there be love. And let's wish that 2023 is a better year than 2022.
Amen to that. But be careful. I wish Carlito was on with me right now, because your plea for forgiveness or sympathy from him and I, it's just not going to happen. And we're going to be busting your balls more than ever this year. So
I'm prepared. So
that little peace talk about the cigar and the whiskey, hey, it ain't going to happen, brother.
You know what, though? I have to say, after 2022, I kind of see you guys have broken Jose down. He's like a bucking horse that you guys have broke down. He seems to be getting along pretty well. And you know what? I've noticed a lot of the comebacks coming from him is pretty good.
You know, to break me down.
That has nothing to do. That's just age. He said, Melanie.
Let me tell you something.
The only time I gave him a compliment, okay?
Let me tell you something. I've worked, Jeremiah and Carlito are teddy bears compared to the people that I've worked to. Jeremiah knows it. Carlito knows it. Problem is we can't make it public. Because you know what? All of them did not end well. And I'm still kicking.
Wait, you got to check out my hat.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Beautiful. Looking good, Melanie.
I can't wait to get this lady online. So I hope this is going to be a fabulous show. I'm so stoked.
Oh, don't give it all away, will you?
So excited.
So before we bring in our guest of honor, I'm just curious, Jose, how much chocolate did you down last night?
Oh, it was a lot. And I got to tell you, Emma's a fantastic cook. She made some steaks last night. We had some amazing champagne. You saw the lineup of cigars that I had. A Don Carlos. I had, let me see what else it was. An Opus. It was a Forbidden X and a Magnum 44. 4 great cigars yesterday. And my first cigar of the day, because I wanted to smoke it on a very clean palate. You know what it was the Don Carlos Personal Reserve.
I knew it before you said that. Man, I'm so good.
The more I smoke it, I've been smoking Cameroon for about 45, maybe now close to 50 years. And the more that I smoke that Don Carlos, which I've stated even before working with Fuente and a lot of interviews, what has been your all-time favorite cigar from Fuente? Has always been Don Carlos Robusto, and then we got the Personal Reserve, which the original Don Carlos by the old man, well, we could talk days about that, but that cigar was amazing. And your father, may he rest in peace, that was his favorite cigar, the Don Carlos Robusto.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. All right, so let's make this year something special. We have an incredible turnout today. I can see that everybody's at home. I hope everybody's not too hungover after last night. And I guess this is going to be the best pill of the day for everybody to be able to watch this show and sober up after the celebrations of last night.
How late did you guys stay up? I went to bed at 9:30. I really did.
In the morning?
No, in the evening.
No, you didn't. I don't believe that 1 second.
Did you see me on the internet? No. I went to bed at 9:30 is proof.
I I beat you for once. Something's wrong, Melanie. Something's suspicious, Jose. Don't you think?
I agree.
Oh my God.
Houston,
Yeah.
we have a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Something's wrong with Melanie. She went to bed at 9:30, and something's terribly wrong. Have you seen a doctor, Melanie?
I planned other trips. How about that? I knew.
Ah,
Yeah, there we go.
there you
There's
go.
better things in forward.
All right. Without further ado, we have a very special guest today. One which is not only an incredibly interesting human being, but she also happens to be a very, very old friend of mine. Somebody that goes
Beautiful.
back, my goodness, probably a quarter of a century. I would think by now. I think about 25 years, something like that, 25 years. Somebody who has a heart this big and who's one of the sweetest and respectable humans that I've had the pleasure to have in my entourage and in my life. Somebody that I can truly call a friend, and she happens to be an enormous cigar aficionado and cigar ambassador as well. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, a warm welcome to the one and only Carolina DeMarco. Carolina, welcome to the Fuente and Meerapfel. Meet the Professor.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Dear Jeremy. Hi, everybody. And first of all, Happy New Year. I'm so happy to be here for the first day of the year.
And it is the first day of the year. You are the guest of honor in the place of honor, in the situation of honor, on the day of honor of our entire show, Carolina. And you know what? Everybody after you is going to have a really tough time this year because you're going to cast a huge amount of shadow. But bear with us. Jose is going to be asking you a few questions. Now, remember, if he bothers you in any way, all you have to do is raise your little pinky, and Melanie and I are here to make sure that he remains the gentleman that he is. But I have no doubt we're all going to be in this together. Jose, are you ready?
Of course,
I am
of
ready.
course.
All right,
Sorry,
let's
just a
do
little
this.
thing. To everybody, be indulgent with my English. If anything I cannot say in English, I will say it in Spanish or French, but I will do my best to make me understand.
Yeah, well, Carolina's English happens to be one of the most eloquent Englishes, so I don't think anybody's going to have any problem. And she's such an amazing character to look at. So, ladies and gentlemen, have some fun because this is going to be a hell of a show. Jose.
Carolina, how are you?
Hola, José. Qué alegría verte. Feliz
It's always,
año.
thank you very much. Muchas gracias. You know, I've known Carolina for many, many years, and I was lucky to spend time with her last year at all the events of Pro Cigar, and I know she will be there again. But she, I would say, without a doubt, is one of the most respected women smokers worldwide. And we're going to talk to her a lot because she is a woman that smokes cigars, knows cigars, has a passion for cigars. And I'm glad to call her a sister of the leaf and a friend of all of us.
Thank you very much, dear José. I really appreciate your words.
You know me well. I wouldn't say it if it's not true. First of all, Carolina, let me ask you something. Do you remember the first cigar you ever smoked?
Of course. And I was laughing when you were talking before because it was thanks to the Meerapfel friends, Don Carlos Robusto. So I have a very special feeling for that cigar. This is my cigar, my most preferred cigar of the world because my first taste was of that.
Yes, I know that.
2003. And
so let me, yes, continue. No, you said that was in 2003?
I remember. Yeah. And I still remember since that time, one of the things I like to do most when I open a cigar is to put my tongue there and then just inhale before lighting it, because I have all the flavors of that incredible leaf So I do that every time, just to try to find again that first taste.
Yeah, it's called a call draw. A lot of people. It's funny you mentioned the tip of the tongue because many times, and I don't think a lot of people do it. Like when I cut a cigar, I put my tongue on it, and there's a lot of things that I picked up right away. But that said, you have to smoke the cigar to really know what it's about. Sometimes they look pretty, they're not that good. Sometimes they don't
That's
look
true.
really pretty, but they're good. So anyway, never judge a cigar by the color or the looks of the wrapper. Carolina, for many years, you have been one of these public figures smoking all around the world. You could say you're an ambassador, uh, not only for Dominican Republic and Fuente, but worldwide. So, how do you see yourself as a woman that has so many followers, that so many other women look up to? What do you think about that?
Okay, my passion for cigars is so big that I would love to share all that with the most possible people in the world. I think that it's very, very important to let people know all the good sides of cigars. mm, Because, as you know, a lot of people are sometimes afraid, sometimes, and it's so, so important to share. You know, I was born in Argentina. I went live in Brussels when I was 26, 27, and then I was in Dominican Republic, Haiti. I travel a lot, and everywhere I try um, to take with me all this good message of cigars uh, everywhere. And I think, you know, I know you've been there. I am a member of a very, very, very well-known cigar club in Brussels, who is called Le Pharaon Allumé. And that was the place in which I could uh, first and the best explore cigars at the beginning. So big kiss for all the pharaons qui sont là. I see myself as a, I know, you know me. I am a very simple person. Uh, just enjoy.
Carolina, without a doubt, in the last, I would say more than anything else, the last 5 or 6 years, but women smoking in the States was very popular. But now, not every country in Europe, but a lot of countries in Europe, we see a lot of women now starting to smoke, a lot of women starting to go to the events. But more than anything else, we're seeing a lot of women that really want to learn about, tobacco and about the blends. They go to the events, they ask questions. So, would you say to a lot of women that are seeing the show today and will see it, in the coming days, what advice would you give them? Not to be afraid, to ask questions, to be open-minded. What would you say to all these sisters of the leaf worldwide?
Of course, first of all, feel free. Feel free. It's if you like it, just do it. Uh, Everybody can smoke a cigar, men, women, everybody. It's such a good thing to do. I mean, it's not because we are, maybe it's our age, used to it's men world, but no, there's no men or women world. If you like it, just do it and try to learn. Go for it. Investigate. In Santo Domingo, we do some classes. I don't know how to say. We teach how to smoke, how to cut a cigar, how to conserve it, how to take the best of a cigar. And I have a lot of women that came to these classes, and I really like it. I enjoy when I am at the cigar club and I see women who who just they are looking at the men smoking, and I go to them and I propose to come with me, look some cigars, show them which things are easier to smoke to begin. Women are really enjoying cigars, and I'm so happy for that, because there's no men, women. There's just love and passion for that.
I agree. I know Jose has more trouble because he's the old school from 300 years ago, but but I understand, and you know, his wife and I have been trying to convince him, but he's learning slowly. You know, he's learning
Vamos,
slowly.
Jose.
Vamos, Jose, you're almost there, brother. And we're very fortunate, to have Melanie on the show, who's also a huge fan of cigars and a cigar lover, and she's been paving the way very actively as well. So why don't we bring the two of you côte à côte, head to head, and I'm sure you have a lot in common.
Hi, Melanie.
Hello, beautiful.
So happy to see you.
Jose, you don't look in place between the two of them anymore.
Oh, Jose.
I don't know if it's because of last night's drinking or because you're just very nervous to have two beautiful women around you, but you're not looking too sharp right now.
He's so terrible.
Okay, I knew he didn't have much to say, but
Oh my God, he's got his. What is that? A bottle? What?
la bebida.
It's a new year. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Carolina, I am so excited to have. I mean, I was just thrilled when they told me you were going to be here, because I mean, we had such a great time in the DR when I got to meet you. You are absolutely beautiful. Your outfit was gorgeous that night. That's the one thing that I do absolutely remember. It stands out in my mind. But yeah, I'm just.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to see you. You have to come again very soon.
Oh, I am. I've already got plane. I got a ticket. I'm coming. I'm coming. Are you going to be in Santiago?
Yes, in February for a big festival.
Yes.
I don't know if I can tell about it.
Nope. Well, don't get me in trouble. So,
but I'll be there.
How was your New Year's? What exciting things did you do?
Okay, so I'm in Argentina visiting my family. So I'm very happy. I'm not very often in Argentina for the New Year. So it's different. Maybe you will see behind me a little nephew or something like that, you know, a big family.
Yeah.
But no, really a very good New Year. Smoking, as always. So today, as I told, this is a Don Carlos Doble Robusto. Yeah, that I love. Visiting friends, partying a little. Not as you, 4:30 in the morning, me last night.
Well, that's okay.
This morning.
We're all allowed to have a good time, right? So, speaking of the women in the industry, do you get the opportunity to be able to share with your family that you do smoke cigars and you have a great passion for it? And how does your family react to that? Are they into cigars or?
Okay, when I was a little child, my father used to smoke, I don't know how to say in English, la pipa, that has a very sweet tobacco, and sometimes cigars. And he let me try, but it was something that I just the smell and I loved. So when I was very young, but then the rest of my family doesn't smoke. And when I started with all this, okay, of course I have one brother, Mariano, who started smoking, and now he's a very aficionado. He loves Fuente cigar. And everybody is encourage me in the sense of they see that is something that I love. I know that this is my thing.
I love it.
So I just want to do this to help people to learn as I do in Santo Domingo. The longer I can, I will do it, because it's really something that I like.
All right, I got a really good question for you because
A ver.
I tend to have this come up often whenever I go to visit a cigar lounge. And so
Okay,
I'm curious,
slowly. Uh-huh.
when you are asked maybe by a husband, boyfriend, or something that they could suggest to hand a cigar, which cigar would you suggest for the lady to smoke that maybe is not used to cigars? Maybe she's not newbie kind of thing.
Okay, so the first cigar I propose, it's a short story because it's a very flavored cigar. It's not as long as because I I have something I cannot see a cigar abandoned when you just start it. Or
Guilty. I've
it's
been guilty of that.
it's very difficult for me. So I prefer to propose something that it's not very long, but it's tasty, but it's not aggressive. And I think that the short story has all that. Um, it's a very full-bodied smoke. As I said, no, not aggressive, because we need to make women see that that's not a terrible thing to do, and explained, of course, that the first times they will just feel some smoke in the palate, and that comes slowly. So the first things to do is to make them feel the good side of having the lip between the lips,
Yeah.
that taste, that flavor, that it's not invasivo. I don't know how to say in English, in the palate, and just not feel that they won't finish their cigar. When you are starting and you see that you can finish your cigar, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
Oh my God, yes. That's so true. So
What do you
funny.
think about that?
Well, that's exactly the cigar that I suggest too. And I tell you what I really get a kick out of is whenever the husbands come back and they're like, thank you so much. She's so happy. She wants to come back to the lounge again and again and again. And it's just so, fulfilling. I
True.
love it.
The second cigar I would suggest that it's a very, 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 how do you say, tasty, is the Magnum R44, because of the size, and as I said, the taste, easy to handle, because that's also a thing for women that are starting, not to feel maybe that they have a very big cigar. So you have to see all that things, and making in the first place the taste.
Right. Well, I think that's super important. When I used to run fitness studios, the last thing that people want to be put through is torture by working out correctly. So at the end of each fitness workout that I had with people, I would always make sure they got a nice massage. So they leave with a really good feeling. And I think that's super important whenever you're doing any kind of sales or trying to get anybody to jump into any kind of thing. It's make them walk away feeling amazing about the experience.
Yes, and just have the envy to return and to look, and then choose by herself, because you have so many choices or good.
Absolutely.
So when women come at the cigar club to choose a cigar, and I start just explaining why, maybe because a cigar is, it's a mood, it's a moment. You don't have, I mean, everybody has two or three preferred cigars in her world, in his world, but it's a mood. Today, okay, today I have 40 minutes. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want some cigar that I can completely enjoy by myself. Or today, 2 hours with friends. It's another kind of cigar, and another smoke. So go there and just even choose, because of the moments that you are going to enjoy it.
Absolutely. I love it.
Carolina, give us some examples of different moments in your life which which touched you in any way, which were special to you, and which you directed that moment at a particular cigar? What was it?
That's a great.
Okay. One of the first moments for me, it was December 2003, a very special moment for you too. That moment, I knew that I loved so much things, and I loved a very group of people that will be part of my life later, forever. So that I can say it's for me one of the most touching moments. Another big moment was on June 13, 2003, when I was invited to this cigar club first meeting. That was my first time in the cigar club that in Brussels, that I never left. So I will always remember that. You know,
Was it the one in the photography workshop? I can't remember exactly which one it was.
It was al teatro.
Ah, yeah, I remember. I remember.
With the and a little part after that with the jeudi vert.
And Walter's place. Walter, if you're watching.
So I mean, that beginnings for me are very, very special. There's not that are not beginnings that you remember just like that. Then, of course, a moment that I will always remember with such it was the World Cup 2014, that I had the honor to to share. You know, I had the honor to be there with the Fuente family, and that was something for me, touching moments with some people that you know. Another moment that for me is important, and I mean, it's personal, but it has to do with cigars. In Argentina, we don't do Thanksgiving. It's not very common. And when I arrived in Brussels, it wasn't very normal neither. So my first Thanksgiving were at the Meerapfel family. I remember the first Thanksgiving. It was such I don't know how to say in English. So much love there. So much sharing. And that moments, family moments, bring me directly to this. What do you think, Jeremy?
I remember that Thanksgiving very well.
We had a few Thanksgiving, but that first one, so that's a touching
I remember
moments for
you
me.
sitting down and you were looking around thinking, what the hell's going on?
Exactly. With the, ¿cómo se llama? El pavo.
Why is this
very-
turkey in the middle of the table?
Exactly. I didn't
and my
understand.
mother who's Belgian, she understood you very well. I mean, it was really my American father that understood what was going on around the table.
Isn't that what they say? I think Carlito has a painting that says it might only be Thursday for you, but it's Thanksgiving for us, or it's only another Thursday. That's so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
So that's
Exactly.
a really special moments for me. Then the first day in 2010, when I arrived to Dominican Republic, to the cigar club, to talk to Ciro, because of my friends from Belgium. That was another word that still opened to me. So that moments for me, and that are my special moments that go with me forever. Starting in Dominican Republic, Thanksgiving in Brussels, first evening with the Pharaon Allumé. that for me are treasures.
It's very true, and those moments are still there. It's magic after 20 years. You know, we're still gathering with the Pharaon, and we're still spending time together like it was yesterday. It's incredible. It's incredible, and cigars can do that to you as well, because you can light it up and it can just bring you back 20 years like this, and you can be sitting there with people where you had an experience 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, and you could light up that same cigar, and that moment of the past can just reconnect. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Exactly. It's just when I imagine that happens to you too. You arrive somewhere and you have someone smoking a cigar. You feel instantly brother or sister of that person, and the conversation starts because you know that behind of that it's a common it's family.
It's
Everywhere
true.
anywhere in the world.
It's very true. There's like, it's like a fraternity or whatever you want to call it, where inherently, for some reason, most people that enjoy cigars, they have similar values, they have similar interests, they have similar, there's so many points in common, and so you could have never met somebody yet. You know, you have more in common with them than you do with people that you've known half of your life, which is inspiring, actually.
Course.
And like Eric says, because I see the chat popping up here, he says it's not a lifestyle, it's a passion. And I think he's right. It is a passion. It's a passion which unites people and bonds people. And Carolina is a great ambassador of this, and she's a great example of this. I remember the young woman that came into that cigar club that one day with one of my very close friends, and that was it. You know, she instantly became family, and here we are, a few gray hairs later,
Exactly.
and nothing has changed.
No,
It's so amazing too. Well, heck, that's how I met Carolina. It was pretty much at a cigar festival or a cigar event, and we'd hit it off, and I was in love. I'm like, I love this lady. So absolutely, it's unreal how powerful it is. Just that one stick.
It is.
That's true.
Now, before we continue, I'd like Melanie to call in the questions for Neil, the professor. So, Melanie, if you could make the announcement to Byron
give me
and Scott, Andy.
You got to give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Let me
Go
make
for
sure that
it.
I can see them.
But all of you watching there, Terry, Demetrius, Chris, Eric, Jose, all of you, we're going to be trying to nail that professor today. And I know he's tired. I know he had a hard night last night, but that doesn't mean he's going to fail us. So go hard on your questions, because the professor can handle it big time. You ready?
No.
No, she's not. It's just calling in the questions, Melanie. It's nothing more. You're on mute.
The comments get a little, they don't let you go back through the comments unless you're on your computer, which I'm on right now. So I've got to figure out different strategies. So hold on 1 second. Give me 2 seconds. Maybe let Jose ask a question and I'll get right back to you.
Okay, I will take this moment just to say again that I am so grateful to the Fuente family, because they opened their arms for me since the beginning. They trust me instantly, and that is something for what I am really, really grateful. I love so much doing things with my Fuente family. Carlito, Cynthia, Liana, everybody. I don't want to, because I don't want to forget anybody. But really, really very, very grateful, because they became my family too. I feel part of the Fuente family, and that's something that I wanted to say.
And they very, very much consider you family, Carolina. Very, very much. They love you very much. We all love you very much. And you're the little sparkle in everybody's life. So keep strong and healthy, because we love you so much. All right. In the meantime, I don't know what Melanie's doing, but I'm going to have to call in the questions. So
I can't help it. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get through here, and it's just not letting me see all.
It's okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait, I can do this. Oh wait,
you can do it. All right, you do it, Melanie.
Yeah, I forgot. There is another chat comments. Okay, silly me. I haven't. Okay, I'm not gonna say that out loud. All right, so let's see. We have. Okay, most companies go through 2 fermenting process. How many go through 3?
Okay, Melanie's jumped to the question, so I guess she wants to go straight to nailing the professors. But let's give you guys an extra 30 seconds to submit your questions and to try to nail Jose. You ready? All right, let's do this, guys. It's time to nail the professor. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to nail the professor.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
All
Okay.
right, Jose.
Yeah, let me tell you something.
You look a bit pale, but it's going to be fine.
No. Listen, there is a huge misconception, because you have a lot of people, unfortunately, that keep on using fermentation of once, twice, 3 times as a selling point. You ferment tobacco 1 time and that's it. There is no such thing as a second fermentation or a third fermentation. Now, that said, when you make the cigars, and they're in the aging room, they still continue to age with a bit of fermentation, but not a fermentation in the pilones. And Jeremiah knows about it, because that's the way they do it in Cameroon. But you ferment tobacco 1 single time. That was what I was taught, and that's what I've heard. Do people do it a second time? Well, if you buy some tobacco that is not, it's like fermented a little bit, let's say could be in Cameroon, could be in Honduras, could be in Ecuador, and then you take it to the factory and you give it a fermentation. But a fermentation, the way it's done 1 time, cannot repeat it again, because all the essential oils just evaporate, and what you will have left is tobacco that's tasteless. It's like smoking paper.
Yeah, I agree with the professor, but I'd like to add a little spin on this. I believe, Professor, that what many people may be referring to are the number of turns in the bulk. And I think that many times people get confused between turns of the bulk and number of fermentation processes. So the professor is spot on. You ferment the tobacco, and the process is 1 process, so to speak. You don't finish the process and then start over. But what there is depending on the type of tobacco, depending on the priming of the tobacco, depending on the crop in terms of how much sun it got and how much water it got, there will be variation in the amount of turns that you give the bulk, and therefore that could be misinterpreted, or that could be qualified by some people as number of fermentations, because there are companies and there are, let's say, certain ways of doing things where you rush through a turn, and then that, so to speak, is considered sufficient, and people get it out onto their cigars. Very often, if you look at it in that way, and you don't give the tobacco the actual fermentation turns that it needs, you're going to end up with very poor tasting tobacco, bitter tobacco. Tobacco won't burn properly; it'll burn very, very black. The combustion ring will be off. and so on and so forth, and a lot of ammoniacs, and the list goes on, and we could sit here for an entire day discussing this. But I believe maybe this is where the question lies here. Let me go back. Who asked the question?
Jeremiah, can I say something? I agree with you 100%. And I'll tell you why. Because
I would hope so.
no, but I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why. Because what people are confused is
Chris was asking the question. So it's possible, Chris, that what you're referring to, or what you've heard, is the number of turns in the bulk that you're giving.
Elvira. And the thing is, it's every 13 or 14 days, you have all the leaves all piled up this way. They take the pilon all apart, and all the leaves that were like this, then they turn them around. And so people know on a Connecticut broadleaf, because you're not going to do that to Cameroon or let's say a Connecticut, but a Connecticut broadleaf could go into a fermentation process to 7, 8, 9 months, even a year. And that pilon could be turned around in that year 25 or 30 times. So I think that's where the confusion is. But fermentation is done only one, and that's it. Well,
yes, more or less. So there's that first part, which we've clarified. And then there's a second part, which I'd like to clarify as well. And a lot of manufacturers, and this has been going on for decades, receive what I would call non-finished tobacco, so to speak, in terms of the way that it's been fermented. And so there's another process which a lot of tobacco goes through these days, which is called mulling. And so the tobacco is brought in, and it goes into these special rooms which have a certain type of humidity and temperature. And that does force an additional fermentation process, although not at all the same as the initial, and you're not going to get at all at the same objective, but it is going to round off the tobacco in a certain way, both in terms of the colors and in terms of the taste and the ammoniacs, which are modified and extracted from the leaf. But yes, I will agree with the professor here. Let's say that the fermentation, there should be one fermentation, so to speak. There's no question that the old school way of treating tobacco is fermenting the tobacco at its source properly and reaching a certain level, although it is lower yielding and it is a little bit more damaging and risky for the tobaccos. But the taste that you'll get from that is absolutely unique. And so a lot of people, come to me and say, but Mr. Meerapfel, why is Cameroon wrapper, and I'm using Cameroon wrapper because it's a very easy example to use in this case, why does Cameroon wrapper taste so sweet? And why does Cameroon wrapper taste so like this and like this and like this? And actually, to be perfectly honest with you, the main reason for it is because the fermentation process is pushed so significantly at source. There's no manufacturer in the world that will mull or touch Cameroon once it reaches the factory. None. And so we actually push the product to its limit and even over its limit, and therefore there's a very poor yield with the manufacturer because of that. But the reality is the taste is absolutely, and the burn is absolutely unique on that product. So there you go, guys. You got a little bit of insight on fermentation today, more than many. Let's see. Are there any other questions, Melanie?
Absolutely. So from Dan Sahawi.
Dan, my brother.
Dan, we all know Dan. We love him. Had him on the show as well. You guys, if you check that out, go to professor.com on YouTube. So we have Professor. You always say, I never smoked a bad cigar with good company. How many good cigars have you smoked with Jeremiah Meerapfel? I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but there you go.
Fantastic.
Listen,
Dan, that's a very nutty question, my friend.
And I don't know if Jose will even answer that because he's always about the tobacco.
Yeah, of course, I've smoked many cigars with Jeremiah. A lot of people forget that I've known Jeremiah for around 21, 22 years. And I know his father and I knew his grandfather. But I want to say something that, since we talked about fermentation, And and I got to tell you something. I'm on point with Jeremiah says. I love to ferment tobacco the old-fashioned way, but mulings are used, but also calfrisa, which is used a lot in Nicaragua. And what the calfrisa does, that's something that came from the Italians. What it does is to really unify the colors of the wrappers. But because of that process, it's done so fast and at a very high temperature. In my humble opinion, a lot of flavors of loss. And that's
But
the third way.
most of the calfreeze is used in an earlier process in replacing the sheds, I think, and trying to get rid of that humidity problems and all the other challenges in the sheds. So I agree with you, Professor. But I think the calfreeze is more of a tool that's used to replace the old-fashioned sheds, if I'm not mistaken.
And to uniform the colors of the wrappers too.
Pre-fermentation, yeah.
Any more questions?
One more question. Cigar tobacco can be grown in many countries other than the ones we all commonly know. What is the oldest country that contributed to tobacco to a cigar you liked?
That's an easy question for me.
Right.
I don't know. I would say it has to be between Peru and Indonesia. I could be wrong. I don't know what Jeremiah thinks.
I mean, my taste, because the question is tobacco to a cigar you liked. So without specifying the oldest tobacco, but the let's say the oldest I liked, so to speak, would definitely be, well, there would be two of them. One, it's the old strains of German tobacco, which were, part of our growing in our family since the 1600s, more or less. Well, 1700s in Germany, actually. So the 1700s. And then obviously Sumatra, because again, that's where our family immigrated to and grew tobacco between the First and the Second World War. So it would be the old German strains that we were specialized in, and Sumatra for us.
Oh, wait, hold
Now,
on.
I think that the old German strains don't exist anymore, or at least
He
for the
actually
moment.
he just corrected himself. Hold on. So we've got breaking news. It's the oddest, not the oldest. Does that change your answer?
Well, the oddest would be the German. I mean, nobody on this show would probably have ever tasted it. So that would definitely be the oddest. And to be honest with you, the Sumatra is probably relatively unknown to most of the newer smokers out there. It's a tobacco that disappeared from mainstream probably, I would say, 10 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in both cases, that should answer his question coming from me. Jose?
Oh, I agree. I've
Right, I have
tasted.
one.
Uh-huh.
I was just going to ask one little question whenever you're done, please. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the likelihood, Professor, that you think that we might give a bobblehead out in 2023?
No, come on. I've been kind of semi-nailed, but with questions not really about tobacco. But look, it's all fun, and we're here to educate. And I can tell you one thing: it's going to be 3 years now, and the insights that people have gotten on this show behind the scenes, not only from Fuente, Meerapfel, but all the people we've been on board, you would have never got that on any magazine or any interview unless it was here on this show. So, like I always say,
Agreed. And you
history
know
in
what?
the-
I hope
history in the
I hope
making.
I hope we give out a bobblehead this year, but you guys are going to have to make it a hell of a lot more difficult than you are now. Ah!
He's a tough cookie.
Oh, yeah. All right,
Where's
guys.
Mr. Myberg?
It's time to get Mr. Myberg. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Rich's Riot.
Happy New Year, everyone. Feliz Año nuevo. Let's see. I'm a little late on some holiday humor.
Rich, that
Yes.
introduction was spooky as shit, bro. My
Oh.
goodness, that looked like something that is banned on national television these days. But anyways,
No.
I guess the joke is going to reflect that.
Añejo 888. It's legal in Georgia. So last week was Christmas, and Brenda and I decided to spend an evening at a local Brazilian restaurant and sit at the bar like we usually do and eat there. And the young man sat down next to a pretty lady at the bar and came across with the worst pickup line I've heard for Christmas, because he looked at her and said, "Your name must be Jingle Bells." And she said, "What?" He says, "Because you look like you're ready to go all the way." So what does Mrs. Claus wear when she wears those tight red pants? She gets a mistletoe. So I want to tell you, there's a guy that at the bar was talking the next day, disappointed at his Christmas present. I said, "Well, what did you get from this new girl you're dating?" He says, "I got a sweater." He said, "What did you expect?" He says, "I was hoping for a screamer or a moaner."
Oh, goodness. That was actually wonderful. Thank God we're broadcasted out of Switzerland, guys. We're bad to worse.
Well, I'm happy you didn't need to get you didn't have to get the Matt Booth translator to learn about that joke. You did fine, Jeremiah. You got it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. All right. Thank you, Rich. Happy New Year's to you and Brenda.
And to you all.
Oh, goodness. Jose.
Where's Carolina?
Oh, she probably ran off the show by now. She's given up. She thought, screw this. This is not okay. All right, let's get her back.
I'm there. Listen carefully.
Carolina, it was really a pleasure to have you on a show. You have dedicated a great part of your life to educate, to be an ambassador for tobacco, to be an ambassador not only for Fuente, but for Dominican Republic. So my last question to you is, how do you see, it's a two-part question. How do you see the future of the industry is one. And the second one is, how do you see the role of women smokers worldwide?
Okay, so first question, I know that I see, as everybody see, that we have some a lot of obstacles now for smoking. But I don't think that that obstacles can make us stop smoking or less smoke. I think that the cigar industry is growing incredibly, and it will continue to grow. Cigar is here and forever. I mean, when I arrived in Dominican Republic in 2010, people didn't smoke a lot cigar in Dominican Republic. It was the industry just to export, cigars for export. And now you have, Jose, a lot of clubs, people who goes together to smoke, and it don't stop growing. It's each time more. I'm sorry for about my English. So I think that it's only expanding. Cigar industry is just doing good and great. So for me, we have a great future. What do you think before answering the second one?
Claro que sí, of course.
Okay, and for women, as I told before, I know that women are starting little by little to get more used and comfortable with cigars. So I think that we are just getting up to. I am not going to say the same level as men, because we are not still there. But as I said before, I encourage women who like it to do it, not feel because okay, no, having a cigar in my hand, it's I will be seen as a man. No, you will be seen as a woman who love this wonderful product uh, made with a lot of love and care. So I see women smoking more and more, and I encourage them. And I take advantage to say, please don't hesitate to write me in private. If you need to know something, if you have questions, I will be delighted to answer and to help.
Really, I know you've been a great part of the education part of women or the Sisters of the Leaf. Again, thank you very much for being a guest. I hope to see you at Pro Cigar, and we'll have some fun there together. Jeremiah?
My sister, listen, before we close this show, I just wanted to thank you again. Merci du fond du cœur, Carolina, for being such a wonderful friend, for Joshua and Melissa, for being such a wonderful friend to my father, to my mother, for being such a wonderful friend to me. You are definitely one of the closest people to our lives as a family. Somebody was brought so much joy and happiness and smiles to our faces. You know, in the family, we call you the firecracker, le feu d'artifice, because you're always bringing so much laughter and so much joy and so much happiness everywhere you go. And people like you are very, very precious. People like you are lighting up the world and putting light in the world and making things better. So, Carolina, thank you for everything.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you. Thanks to Jose and Melanie to having me here, to making all that questions. Thank you for being really my close family, and you know it. So I'm very, very happy to start the year with you here.
Yeah, and we're honored. We're very honored, Carolina. Happy New Year's. I wish you and your beautiful girls and your entire family a lot of health and happiness, a lot of wisdom and peace, a lot of finding and maintaining the roots which keep us grounded and which keep us strong through toutes les tempêtes de la vie. Je t'aime de tout mon cœur.
Moi aussi, mon frère, je t'adore.
All right, don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, another unique episode of the Fuente and Meerapfel Meet the Professor. Jose mentioned earlier on that this show is about documenting the past and the present and gifting this to the future. And we have heard a lot of information today, specific information on fermentation, on other processes, which some of you may have heard about, some of you may not have heard about. And this is what our show is all about. Discovering wonderful people, the most wonderful people in our industry and revolving around our industry. And also being able to pick up a trick or two or to gain information on what actually composes what's going on behind the scenes. Because with that information, with the reality, with what constitutes quality, you are better off. Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of the Fuente and Meerapfel Meet the Professor. Remember to take care of yourselves and of each other. And as an old man used to say, if you don't do it with passion, don't do it at all. Bye-bye for now. See you next week, same place, same time. Bye-bye. All right, team. Happy New Year's to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Thank you,
Happy New
Carolina.
Year.
Carolina.